Hey everybody, good afternoon. Naif Mubarak here with Mubarak Law. As promised, going to continue to provide everybody with as many updates as possible. Hope you all are hanging in there. This is difficult for everybody, and I know that we are coming to the toughest weeks ahead, so just wanted to provide you guys with these quick updates. Today, I hope to talk about the new order, the latest updates with USCIS, immigration courts, and the county courts. Also some tips about people who were hoping to get married and marriage certificates. We'll briefly touch on some processing times and things you can do to support a marriage-based case. So as of most of you probably know, in Florida, the governor signed a statewide order where tonight at midnight, there will be a statewide ban from the governor's office. This looks like it's going to be expanding basically what we've seen in several counties, but now it's going to be a statewide effect. This is again because due to the spreading number of the viruses. So right now USCIS has canceled any interviews, in-person, biometric, whatever it may be, until May 3rd. Let me make sure I have that correct. Yeah, May 3rd. And the immigration courts are canceled until at least May 1st. So May 1st is for non-detained cases. We still are having court hearings, believe it or not, for detained cases. So individuals who are incarcerated, immigration attorneys are required to go to court in order to represent their clients. This has not been shut down yet. I know there's a lot of out there advocating to stop these hearings or to release individuals who are pending these cases. So we are watching this situation closely. But if you've had any hearing until May 1st, your court case has been canceled and will be rescheduled as soon as possible. USCIS is still continuing to work on cases, although there are no in-person meetings. So hopefully if you have a pending case, don't be discouraged. We hope that they will continue to operate. We saw an update recently that if you had a pending adjustment case, but you can't go in for your fingerprint authorization, USCIS is going to go ahead and refresh fingerprints for those who are seeking work permit renewals. So finally, local courts, Ninth Circuit, for example, Orange County, Osceola County, there are no jury trials, there's no only essential hearings. The courthouse is not open to the public, and this has asked a lot of people to kind of delay whether or not they were getting married. So a lot of people have reached out to us. I was supposed to get married. Is my marriage license still valid? What can I do? So at the last week, we touched on this issue, and I wanted to speak to you all about it today. So the Orange County Clerk of Courts, this is specifically to the Ninth Circuit, has released an FAQ, frequently asked questions, about those individuals who wanted to obtain a marriage license. So I'm going to go ahead and just read some of these to you, and hopefully this will help some things out. So I already have a marriage license. However, my ceremony was scheduled and it's been canceled. What can I do? So your marriage license has not been, no longer valid. You can still seek a notary public or a minister who is authorized, and this will go ahead and make your marriage legal. So even if you can't get to the courthouse, that doesn't mean you are unable to complete your marriage ceremony. So if you already have the license and it's still in the valid period, contact a authorized notary or a minister, and they can conduct the ceremony, which ties into the next question. I was told marriage license must be returned 10 days after ceremony. As long as your ceremony was held between the effective date and the expiration date of the license, your marriage license will be considered valid. So this is straight from the Clerk of Court website. One question is, I need a copy of my marriage certificate. How can I obtain that? Right now, that's not going to be possible given the office being closed. So I just got paused here because Attorney Suhail has mentioned there's also a remote notary option. So, Everybody is doing their best to adapt here and to update to their systems. So make sure you check the clerk website and you reach out to see what's the best thing. So if you have the marriage license already, you can still have it notarized. You can still have a local minister go ahead and make your marriage license valid. Now, there's been here, what about emergency marriage license? So if you don't have the marriage license already, how can you obtain it? You'll have to contact the clerk of court for an emergency marriage license, and obviously you're gonna have to prove that. And it does say here, you will have to demonstrate, or both parties will have to go through a health screening. So if the clerk of court does determine that you are qualified for an emergency marriage license, you can then have that obtained as long as both people pass the health screening requirements. Akile Shaloya just joined. Thanks for watching, Akile. Best Italian in Florida. I've ordered takeout there a couple times. I hope everybody's continuing to support local. You know, at least we could do is eat good if we're fortunate enough. So make sure you take care of the local businesses. And Akile, I'll probably see you later. So on the marriage certificate process, so that's been one of the issues. We've been getting a lot of questions. Oftentimes we get questions, can I apply for unemployment? Is this gonna affect my wife's case, for example? So this is a little bit of a complicated question, and I just wanna talk about this for a second. Now, with the new public charge rules that went into effect as of February 24th, the applicant must show they are not going to be a public charge onto the US government. Now, the petitioner, if living in the same household, is going to be subject to the same scrutiny. So in addition to the affidavit of support, they're going to look at the job income, the credits, history, what kind of financial aid are they receiving. So yes and no to answer that question. If you are going to obtain public benefits or unemployment, for example, it's not considered under the public charge, but it may link to a big picture. Is it likely that you would become a public charge? So if you qualify for those benefits, make sure that you do. We don't want anyone applying for benefits that they shouldn't. So if it's a benefit that's only for citizens or residents, you should not be applying for these benefits if you don't qualify for them. It's one of the biggest takeaways that I will constantly tell people, to make sure you qualify for benefits and not to shoot yourself in the foot. We call it, the kiss of death or nail in the coffin if you claim to be a citizen and you're not. There's really nothing worse you can do in immigration law than do false claim to citizenship. And a lot of times this happens when people seek benefits, register to vote, or even just filling out a driver's license and go ahead and hit register to vote. So please be careful of that. Some other updates for you. We mentioned last time ESTA, and this is what satisfactory departure. A lot of people are not able to travel right now, and you can obtain a satisfactory departure through an airport if you can demonstrate the significant hardship or your inability to travel. And the satisfactory departure, in essence, allows you to demonstrate that but for the restrictions on travel, you would have complied with your limitations. So given the theme of today's topic is a lot relating to the marriage cases, another question we often see is, we're a young couple, or I can't get a social security card. How can I prove that me and my spouse are living together or have financials together? And it's true. Oftentimes you can't provide a social security number, so you can't get car insurance, or you can't obtain health insurance. What is the solution? So you should be able to work with family members, friends, or coworkers. They can write sworn affidavits to support your marriage. There's now one piece of evidence that makes a case. You want to make sure you are providing USCIS with the most evidence possible. So you either have statements from friends, neighbors. Doesn't matter where you live, you're going to have a neighbor or a coworker. So try to gather evidence, and you want to get creative with it based on your circumstances. So if you don't have all the money in the world to have tied financials, then really show letters from friends or family. And this is one thing that should be notarized and a lot of times can carry a lot of weight. Now, these should be very specific to each person who writes an affidavit for you, because there shouldn't be a template, right? It should be somebody attesting to their relationship to you and how they know you and your spouse, and this gives insight to USCIS as to what type of relationship you all have. And now, with the tax season being around here, we do get asked often, how do I file taxes? My spouse doesn't have a social security number. We haven't received anything. What should we do? Again, I would always defer to your CPA or an accountant. There are ways you can file taxes with your spouse, whether it's getting a tax ID number or filing jointly as married or filing separated, but you want your life to reflect your legal status. So if you are legally married in the United States, then you should be filing taxes that way. So please speak with your accountant or whichever company you're utilizing to make sure that they do their best to help you. So that's something that we see very often in tax season, and people who are recently married and wanting to know, how should I file taxes with my spouse? So I see that Diana and Alina and Aunt Cynthia is watching. Hey guys, welcome. We're giving everybody updates to the coronavirus and how it's affecting the courts here in Orlando and throughout the state. As I mentioned earlier, the governor is doing a statewide shutdown. I'm going to copy that link in the comment section when this is done. Feel free to review it. There is a lot of descriptions of who's essential and who's a not essential employee. So we covered the marriage license. Those can be executed even without a courthouse at this time. Just make sure you have a valid marriage license. USCIS will not be operating or conducting any interviews from now until May 3rd, and the immigration courts are closed until May 1st. Now, the circuit courts are closed until April 17th. I'm sure we'll receive an update shortly after the governor signed his order, and I'm sure these circuit courts will also probably align with the governor's order, and just assuming that that's where we will see the deadline for circuit courts as well. So as promised, we're going to continue to update you guys as much as possible. We have been conducting virtual consultations, so whether Skype, Zoom, or on the phone, we've been speaking to our clients. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Tomorrow is, a lot of people have been reading about this CARES Act and the payment protection payroll for employers. So that is a deadline that's coming tomorrow, or just being launched tomorrow, not a deadline. So if you're an employer, this may be a really good option for you to help keep your staff during this difficult period. We will continue to update you all throughout this pandemic, and hopefully you find this helpful. If there is a topic you want to learn more about, let us know, and we are happy to discuss these issues with you. So hope everybody stays safe and stay home. Okay guys, take care.